Welcome to a new episode of Short Comic Introduction. Today again we have a special episode for me because firstly, this comic I'm talking about today is again one that I'm following since the first page was published, with a small hiatus between. I still have no idea why I stopped reading it and then continued. And also, this is a great example for something that I'm always raving about when I talk about indie or webcomics. Yeah, I really love it when indie creators take a mainstream genre or a mainstream story or something like that and just create something very unique with it, meaning they use the basics of these genres and just go with it, meaning they put all their own ideas into it and create something you really don't expect in so many ways, meaning creating characters that are a little bit different than you might think of, and also the storyline go very different ways. So like I said, this comic is really one of the great examples that come to my head when I talk about this kind of thing. So yeah, let's take a look at Uberquest by Michael and Jessica Corbett, a.k.a. Skidd and Phuufy. The comic started in February 2014, and before I go a little bit more into it, just a fair warning, I put a not safe for work label on this one, not because it's completely in this category, no, but there is partially gore and violence in there, and also partially nudity. So when you start reading, just remember this one. So yeah, what's this all about? The story is about a group of adventurers and their adventures and how to put it, their road trip in some cases through the realm of Avir, a realm that's basically on the brink of a war, and also something else behind the scenes in some cases, or let's say there is another dark presence somewhere in the world that's awakening. Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much about it, but yeah, it's at first glance it sounds like a typical fantasy adventure kind of thing, but like I said, don't be fooled. This whole comic, the whole story has a lot that's not your typical way you would do or you would write something like this. The first thing I should mention, maybe, or something that could be, or could be something that might turn off some people, is the whole world, the characters we know at the moment are all anthropomorphic animals. So we don't have these human-like characters you normally see in this. And also, like I said, we have a fantasy story, but your typical orcs or vampires or something like that, elves, aren't in there. Yeah, again, like I said, it's playing with your expectations, and it's doing it right. I can tell you something that shows what I mean. When you start reading this one, the comic starts like something, or like a retelling, or a story that's from some kind of MMORPG. It has this feeling to it. The way some things are described, the way some characters talk, the way some things work in the world at the beginning, like a monster that drops loot, like armor that has some kind of armor rating, and that kind of things. It's really strange when you start reading it, and this part is dropped at some point, and it goes right into its normal story, but I found it funny that they started the comic this way. And also, I have to say, I'm a little bit sad that they didn't continue with it. But yeah, you can't have everything, and I think it might take away a little bit from the rest of the story when they go on. But yeah, it was a fun trip at the beginning. I had to say it was something I really quite enjoyed. The rest I have to say about the way the story goes on. I kind of like the idea that at some point we get something like two parallel stories, and from different angles, different characters of the world, what's going on. And I know that some people have problems with that when they switch between these story parts, but I think it worked out in this case. One thing I didn't quite enjoy about this is we have a very big roster of characters, and even if we are slowly introduced to some of them, I think we still have, or at least personally, I think there are too much, that some characters are a little bit more in the background, and are just there. I didn't want to say something bad, but I have the feeling some characters came a little bit off like a second thought, that they are just there to fill in the whole scenery, and or just there to get some explanations for some things. But again, that's just something I have the feeling, because I'm not the fan of big character rosters, and normally I just like to concentrate on small groups. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes not. But this doesn't mean the whole story is bad. No, I think the most fun part is when we see, or when we follow our characters: Sesame the warrior, Kibbles the wizard, Claire our some kind of scientist, Farron our thief-like trader, and Mason some kind of how to put it, blacksmith. Let's say it this way. When this group is together. And one thing I have also I have to mention about the characters. Let's say it this way. I found it interesting that they went the way to have all the characters, or yeah, I think all of the characters have some dark past or some dark secrets. Let's put it this way. So the whole story, the most time when we see them, they're all these happy-go-lucky kind of characters that are really eager to get into a fight, go on adventures or something like that, or just be a little bit more, not needed to, just want to travel or something like that. But the more the story goes on, we partially get backstories, like the one from Sesame, but also sometimes we only get small glimpses from the past of these characters, or that there is a little bit more about them. Meaning we have something. Okay, let's put it this way, without going too much spoiler, because Sesame, we know she's searching for something, and we have a little bit of backstory, what happened to her, why she's on the search, and this is a very, very dark but really great put in scene. The whole scene is really, the whole chapter is really done great. You have always, I really thought this dark part, or what makes it dark, is really done great. Then we have some characters like Kibbles, Farron, and Mason in so many ways. They all have something. We sometimes see Kibbles thinking about something, and hiding something from the others. We see Mason is something that he says at some point, or he's normally this more silent guy, but there are scenes where he goes against the group in one way because something that happened, where he goes all out, and all the characters are afraid of him in some kind. It's very fascinating. And Farron, I think, is one of the interesting characters of the whole group, because he is normally this, we know him, or we get him to know him as some kind of very, very suspect traitor, and we know that he's some kind of thief. He's always wearing this very big bag with all his stuff in him. We know he has some kind of scars on him, and after he's entered a brothel where he talked with someone, where he just kind of puts her away. It's very interesting, and I really love this one because it makes all the characters feel really three-dimensional. Not only we have this one characteristic about them, but we want to know about. We really want to know about them. What's going on? What's going on in their past? What was there? Why are there? Why are they on this specific point of the story? It's like I said, it's I try to not go into much spoiler territory, but believe me, when you start reading it, it's the whole comic is, well, it starts like something really funny, lighthearted, and then with a snap you totally get into another direction, and I think it's done really, really great. I really enjoy it. The way they wrote it, the way they also drawn it, because it never feels like we get this instant. We always get a small part where we see now the mood goes down or something like this. It always works out. And another thing I really enjoyed, and this is something I haven't thought really worked out. I haven't talked much about Claire at the moment because she's one very special character in this group. Like I said at the beginning, she is a scientist, and when I mean scientist, I really mean it. She isn't from this world or not from the timeline. What we have here is some kind of character that comes from the future or a parallel dimension. We really don't know, but she comes from a world where, or she travels with some kind of pod she created, and she comes there with a small robot pal she built, and the way the way she's introduced to the group, and the way she is, let's say, it's working with the group. It's kind of fascinating to have a character that goes to the past or away from all this the technology, and doesn't really feel like she doesn't belong there. Normally, when you have stories where you have a character like this one at some point, it always feels like they're trying too hard to fit in, or they're doing everything wrong because they're from the future, from the past. You know what I mean? They always build this up to comedy purposes, and here, no, they go a total different road. Yes, she has some parts she doesn't understand there, and there are parts where she just wants to go back to have all this technology. But I never had the feeling that she is there and she doesn't belong there, because she is interested in everything. She starts reading books, she makes fun in everything. She works with the group, and this is really fascinating. It's really great to see such a character in there and really working with it and never feeling like this is something that really doesn't belong there. Yes, she doesn't belong there, but not in the sense that the reader has the feeling that she doesn't belong here. She's always in the group, and I have the feeling she always belongs to the group. Yeah, she isn't something that just is there. Let's say it this way. And definitely, I really enjoyed this one. Also, what I really enjoyed is are all these small side gags in some cases. Some work, some don't. But I have to say, the humor overall, even with when they come before or directly after some of the very darker parts, it never felt like, or I never had a feeling that they fell flat. They always worked in my eyes. I really enjoy them, and yeah, definitely. If you want to see a really interesting story, a really interesting world, because they worked a whole, like I said, they worked a whole universe in there, with whole unique races and everything. It's really interesting, let's say it. I really kudos for creating a whole own world and throwing everything out of the window and saying we are doing now something very unique in this case. Like I said, also the design and the art of the whole comic, it's really great. Mostly very colorful, really very colorful, and everything has its own really unique design. So again, we have not a copy and paste kind of thing where some characters look alike. Every character has, through the comic, his own traits, his own specific details. Like I said, or let's say this way, Sesame, you see her, she has always this red scarf around her with the kind of skull-like ending. We have Farron, who has these scars, is always this sleazy bastard. In this case, you see him. He looks like a street trader or a thief, and so on. It's just some examples. One design I absolutely really find amazing, beside the Sesame and Farron, what I just said, is Scrap. I won't tell you what it is. If you have read it, you know what I mean. You know who Scrap is. He's not directly a character in that, but I have to admit, I found this one, the when they showed him the first time, it was really funny, and I really liked I really liked this creature in so many ways. I really loved the idea who or what he is, and the way he reacts the first time. It's absolutely, this is an absolutely adorable character or creature in this whole world. Like I said, very interesting design. I try to show you once, just my one page, that you know what I mean. But yeah, this is just, I just show you the first page, so you have an idea what I mean. It's getting a lot more detailed and a lot more interesting along the road. They have some very interesting creature designs in there. Absolutely, again, absolutely fantastically done world. Very interesting. It's very hard to describe the whole thing without giving too much spoilers, because they try really hard to create this world and create the story around it, because there are a lot backtracks and so on. And I don't, like I said, I just create these videos I try to not spoil too much of the story, but believe me when I say definitely check it out. There's only one thing at the end. I have to say, there are two things that I didn't quite like or quite enjoy. One was, like I said, the very big character roster. Even if every character is very unique in itself, there are some things, like I said, sometimes I had a feeling that there didn't quite had to be there, let's say this way. And the other part, even if I say I really love the designs of the whole world, there were some designs I'm not quite sure. I think people who read the comic might try to kill me now, but I have to say I don't like the design of Kibbles. It's not that she's not the type of animal she's representing. Let's say it this way: we have Sesame, who's some kind of cat. We have Claire, who's a fox, a fennec fox. We have Farron, who's a rat, and so on. And Kibbles is a dog. That's not the problem I have with her. I have some problems with her proportions, and this is just. Again, it's just my personal opinion. It's just the only thing I really don't quite like about Uberquest. And again, I hope people don't kill me now for saying this. I really enjoy the whole comic, but this is the only thing I really don't quite enjoy. I really love Sesame. Like I said, I really like Claire. I like Farron. I don't know, Kibbles. I think from the character herself is really great, and I really enjoy what she is, why she is what she is, but I don't like her design. It's the only thing I don't like. I really don't like from all these characters, but yeah, it's just a personal note, so please don't take it. Again, it's just don't take it personally that I say this one. Like I said, I still think she's written okay. I have nothing against the character. It's just her design. It's the only design I really don't enjoy. But like I said, it's nothing that takes me completely out of the story, and like I said, I'm still reading it. I really enjoy it. I backed the second Kickstarter project that just ended a few days ago. So you know what I mean. I really enjoyed this story, and I really recommend it to everyone who wants to see how you can create a very different kind of fantasy story. So yeah. If you want to support them, as always, leave a comment or just pledge for something. I think they have a Patreon. Account. I will leave it down below. And yeah, like always, if you like it, support the artists behind it, that they can create more of it. And yeah. Again, thanks for watching, and goodbye, and see you soon in the next episode. Bye.